All right, what is up, sports fans? We are back for another episode, a special episode of the Fan in the End. I'm your host, as always, Steven Rychel. Below me, Mr. Ben Troupe, as always. To the right of him, the one and only Mr. Marvin Powell III. And our guest this afternoon is Miami Hurricanes alumni, Mr. David Gilbert. David, appreciate your time this afternoon. Getting to talk some pigskin with you.
Definitely, man. Any opportunity I get, to connect with those that have a like mindset, I'll take that advantage and, always put my honest thoughts forefront and, put my best foot forward. So,
That's all we could do. So again, really appreciate you hopping on with us. I guess you know uh, let the listeners know a little bit about yourself, your background. How you decided to get into football. Your journey between college and what you're doing today.
yeah, I mean, man, I'm from sunny South Florida. So, football is really big down here. Got into football after being well, everyone thinks that you're 6'3", you can play basketball, but then you get to playing basketball, you realize that's kind of short for basketball. So I mean, football is kind of like where most guys get their opportunities to uh to extend that, post secondary education. For me, it was either football or the military. And luckily for me, I was able to get into football with a coach that believed in me, that actually had experience in the NFL, and kind of just saw the potential in me early. And me being a kid, I started playing football organized around like 10th grade. So just taking those opportunities and being a real student of the game, from the purest sense of the word. When you start playing football, you kind of don't have a choice. So I kind of rose kind of quickly, but it wasn't a surprise because I was kind of following a blueprint that my coach had for me. His name's Adam Rakovich. He's coached over 300 D1 athletes for the past 30 years. Some guys like Derek Roberson Jr. for the NFL. Um, so, just taking the full opportunities, full advantage. So, I mean, I graduated high school early and went to Wisconsin, and then got a chance to get on the field early over there. Obviously, mostly on special teams as a true freshman, and coming in on third downs as a pass rusher. Uh, Being ranked the number 12 defensive end in the nation. I think like guys above me like Fletcher Cox, Devon Kennard, like real top draft picks in that class, and just kind of finding my way. Because I was like the least experienced football player, but I just maximized what I could do. And it was just big. I was always a big effort guy, because I wasn't like one of these guys thinking, walking around thinking I was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. I was always kind of trying to like prove myself and prove that I could be the guy that my coaches needed me to be first. So that was always my first. So like if you do what your coach tells you to do, you really can't go wrong, can you? So after we turned the program around, Wisconsin, and we went to three Big Ten championships. Obviously, played opposite of J.J. Watt. He was my roommate for a little bit when he transferred in from Central Michigan, and recruited James White. Brought him in on a visit, got him to flip from Michigan State to come to Wisconsin. A lot of people don't know that he was a Michigan State, NC State kid, and I just told him, I was like, look, bro, like we're about to do something big. This is where you want to be, and they're going to give you an opportunity to play early because they played a lot of true freshmen. Like it was me, Travis Frederick, a guy named Jordan Cahoot who had to retire because of concussions, Monty Ball. Um, like we were the guys that came in early. And then obviously when the fall hit, like we had superstars like Chris Borland, obviously like third all time in the Big Ten in tackles at a whopping 5'10", you know what I'm saying, 240 pounds. So guys like Antonio Finellis, he's a DB coach at FAU right now. So we were just really just those guys that turned the program back around, because obviously not going to any Rose Bowls for about 10 years, back from Barry Alvarez and him still being the athletic director there at the time. Just a huge blessing to be in position to learn from goats like that. Um, then end up starting, I always started, but my junior year, I broke my foot twice. Actually, people don't know I broke my foot twice, once during the season and once in bowl prep. So then having to deal with that, coming back, playing injured, and then having another foot injury separate the next year, playing through, making all Big Ten and winning the Big Ten championship, and then making the decision to like medically retire, getting the itch, coming back, transferring to University of Miami, and just doing my best that I could to help the team out there. Uh, and then getting the opportunity to play in the NFL. I made the Titans from a rookie minicamp tryout. So they signed one of five guys and moved my position from defensive end to outside linebacker. Once again, just because of the culture of South Florida, the training that I did with some greats. I had the opportunity to train with some of the greatest strength and conditioning coaches in the game, like Ben Herbert, with the Chargers right now from the University of Michigan's last state championship. They call him the Transformer. He's got a ESPN segment about him. And then working with Steve Watterson at the Titans, that was kind of like an internship for me. That was where I knew that I wanted to become bigger in that strength and conditioning phase and really diving into his knowledge, like reading his book that he gave me. He handled my rehab personally for my shoulder when I hurt my shoulder in the pros. And then training with Mike Smith, the head coach of American Heritage Plantation right now. Like he's put out guys like Malachi Tony, obviously. People don't know, man, like a lot of legends have come through that guy. Like, Patrick Peterson, he's one of the first guys to develop like 40-yard dash training, like specifics. Just a hell of a guy. Like, a lot of people don't know Brian Burns, Tony Michelle, and Isaiah McKenzie all went to the same school together. So I used to train with those guys when they were coming out of high school. And just a blessing, man, to be in a position to learn from guys like that and pay it forward, in my own way. Most of the time, like you see guys, they want to coach, they have to go be a GA, and then they got to go through the ranks, they got to go through that, all of that. But I was able to kind of like forge my own path through my knowledge of strength and conditioning and take myself as a guinea pig, right? Like we didn't have mobility growing up. Even when I was in college, we just started doing like trigger points and stretching and stuff like that. So integrating that within the strength and conditioning space has been a huge, huge deal. Like I trained one of the first players I ever trained was Tatum Bethune. Obviously he's an excellent player for the San Francisco 49ers right now, but he was one of the first guys where I kind of implemented that mobility training, strengthening those hip and shoulder labrums and helping just see how that helped guys get faster and injury prevention and stuff like that. So that's just been my passion, like just learning all I can to help athletes.
Marvin, first question.
Yeah, so Dave, listen, I'm a guy. I grew up mostly in LA, diehard Trojan alum, played at SC. I always wanted to be a Trojan, man. And when I think about it, my dad, he also played at SC, and he taught me just the value of blocking and physicality. So when I was in high school, I played a little tight end, and I wanted to be Tony Baselli. When I was blocking people, I wanted to be Baselli. Growing up in South Florida, I know you went to Wisconsin first, but who are some of those canes that you looked up to as a kid that really inspired you? Please.
I mean, obviously like Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Sean Taylor was my favorite player of all time. Rest in peace. Guys like DVD, and it's in that front seven, obviously Warren Sapp, you know what I'm saying? Coming off the edge. Miami, we didn't always weren't known for having the greatest edge rushers, but guys like Jerome McDougal, you know what I'm saying? You got those interior guys, and those is where you realize like, hey, this is where the game is is made, But growing up watching Jason Taylor, obviously the Miami Dolphins, but I wanted to be a Trojan growing up because that's when they had Reggie Bush. And I remember when I got my first letter from SC, I was so hyped because I was like, man, I'm going to get to go all the way across the country and be a Trojan, but it didn't work out. I know it's tough. They got a ton of talent out there on the West Coast. So to come way across the pond, way across the country for a pass rusher, but they did show some interest early that kept me going and just really got me hyped. Like everybody wanted to be a Trojan. I felt like, I was, watching guys like Troy Polamalu, Clay Matthews, Reggie Bush, and then even like, old school cats, like you wear that 55 at SC, you already know you're that deal, and you probably could do a little bit of everything. But just being a guy that like, they're fundamental. Like I'm a big fundamentals guy. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no need to get extra fancy. Even when I train my cats now, I'm letting them know like, hey, the fundamentals are what keeps you on the team. Like doing all these fancy drills, your feet are going to get you to where you need to be, and blocking and tackling is almost about the same thing. So I played a lot of fullback in high school. Like I want to just hit somebody, tight end, blocking tight end, just that physicality and that tenacity, just being nasty, running people over, getting them on the ground. I was always like that. So, and it transferred into my freshman year, like, hey, Jake Byrne. I remember Jake Byrne. He played in the NFL for a while. He got a concussion, and they were like, "Let's just put Gilbert out there. Let's see what he could do." Versus Ohio State at number one, Ohio State, and went out there and made that first block. And then we ran that first kickback. There's a guy named David Gilreath actually ran that first kickback versus Ohio State, and we ended up beating them and knocking them off at number one when they had Terrell Pryor. So it's always, to me, it's always going to come down to the trenches, right? Who you have blocking and who you have tackling up front, and how enthusiastic those guys are about that. And it starts in practice, right? So I was a pass rusher. So obviously inside drill was an acquired taste for me. You know what I'm saying? But once I got that down pat, and it's like, hey, we want to hit somebody. Like we want to play the run. And then on the pass, it's like the icing on the cake, you know what I'm saying? Getting people in third and long situations. So now you can really make your money as a pass rusher. But I'm a big fundamental guy, man. Like you can't have fun without the fundamentals.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Listen, you're a Florida boy. I lived down there in Pembroke Pines for about 15 years, and I got a chance to see how serious youth sports are down there, youth football in particular. Growing up, obviously, you had a certain love and admiration for the Canes. Did they miss on you in recruiting coming out of high school? Because you went from Florida to Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a proud football program, as you said. Barry Alvarez. He was the top of the Big Ten for many years, along with Ohio State, Michigan. Did the Canes miss on you, and then realize what you were when you were Wisconsin, or did you just pass on them out the gate?
No, they actually didn't offer me coming out. I was a big time. I was a recruit. I was a big time recruit later on down the line, but I think just the way my recruiting process went, I wasn't super high on their board. They definitely had me because I went to that last game in the Orange Bowl, and then Chris Long just went absolutely crazy. I still remember watching him getting a bunch of sacks on Ja'Cory Harris or whoever they had at quarterback at the time, I believe it was. But that was a core memory for me because I didn't get to go on the field, right?
Right.
And they always take the guys they really, really want, they take them on the field. But I was sitting in the stands with my dad and my brother, obviously grateful to be to be recruited, grateful to be in that program. But I think they just were a little bit higher on some other guys. Like I came out with Olivier Vernon, you know what I'm saying? An all-pro guy like that. He was like a man in high school. So I don't think they missed. I think there were so many other guys like Miami Northwestern, Miami Central guys that they were looking at that I did kind of fall through the cracks, but I ended up committing to UCF like around like my junior year. So that's what I always try to tell kids, man. I'm like, hey, like if you got somewhere where you want to be and a coach that really wants you, like commit because it's gonna boost your recruiting. Like I can't have a kid that's committed to UCF and then I'm at Kansas State or UConn, which is my second and third offers, and then be like, hey, we like you. Like, okay, what does that mean? Like, I'm committed over here. Like, you got to come with something, offer at least, right? You got to at least match what they're doing. So a lot of times, kids they don't understand the logic, but you got to play the game and you go to the biggest thing is right, it's just like dating. You go to the dance with the girl that really wants to go with you. You don't want to be nobody's second or third option. You know what I'm saying? Because they pick you because they couldn't get the dude that really wanted. So now it's like, come on, oh, whatever. Like you want somebody that's enthusiastic about you, that believes in you, that sees you excelling in their program, that wants to give you a leg up and put you up. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of kids miss out on nowadays.
Ben?
Even saying that, David, I mean, you said a lot, man. I mean, you a '90s baby. I'm a '80s baby. So you talk about them Canes teams. I played against Sean Taylor. I was in college from 2000 to 2003. So I got Sean Taylor, I got Ed Reed, I got Vince Wilfork, I got Jonathan Vilma. Got a lot of nightmares from them Miami teams. But you also said, you found what you wanted to do while you played football, which is very hard to do, by the way. It's very hard to say, okay, football is what I want to do, but you found what I'm going to be doing after football. When did you know? Because I remember when I was coming through the league, they were talking about this. Pretty soon, it's going to be about the two people, the sports science people, a.k.a. nutrition, working out, and the sports analytics people, breaking down why this play on third down. When did you know, all right, I'm going to be working with these athletes because, you think about Derrick Henry, right? How big, fast, strong he is, but you look at his regimen. He's doing heels during the offseason. Like, he really trusts his trainer because they'll say, look, my trainer gave me another 10 years of my career when I trusted. And when did you know I got to be able to show these players that, look, I would love for you to be an all-pro, but I care more about you being a 10-year pro. I care about you having longevity in this game. When did you know that sports science and really helping these players know the importance of nutrition and working out, taking care of your body, that was going to be something you were going to find yourself doing post-career?
Well, the way I kind of discovered it was just volunteering here. Like, I was always a big volunteer guy because, like, you play football, people want to be around you, and you're actually a nice person. And one saying that I always learned when I always go by when I was young, it's important to be nice, right? But it's nice to be important, right? But it's more important to be nice. So I live kind of my life by that. Like I was Miami Dolphins Student Player of the Week, in high school. I got to go to the Miami Dolphins game with my head coach that I actually coach for right now. We was able to go on the field. I was able to have experience with his team. I actually coached his son this year. That was like he was a little boy when I was there. So it's like it's a community thing. What football is just 22 people on the field trying to kill each other, but it brings together the whole community. Like Madison is the second or third largest city in Wisconsin on game days. And then after game days, it goes back to being the capital city, but it's like goes back down to like the fifth or sixth in population. So that tells you a lot. Like football and growing up, getting able to experience football all different places. Texas, right? They closed down the store, right? It's God and football. You know what I mean? And for me, I knew what I wanted to do because I did so many other things and I volunteered so much of my free time outside of football. I'm like, hey, like I got practice tomorrow, but today's done. The sun's still up. Let me go find something productive to do with myself, right? I'm away from home. I'm in Wisconsin. I actually got an award right here. My mom still has it. And this is Community Service Award, from Wisconsin for over 200 hours. I volunteered at schools The kids, they just wanted to hang around the football player, but I was there to help them kind of, and to help me discover like who I wanted to be. So I mean, and let me we come circle back to the whole thing. Like, there's a ton of talent down here in Miami. You can't recruit everybody, and sometimes they do miss. You know what I mean? And it's not because they don't like you or because you're not good enough, but I mean, when you go out and you see a school of fish, can you really pick the biggest ones? You know what I'm saying? You go for the biggest, sexiest one. You're like, oh, I want that one. But there might be one down there that you didn't get to see, right? So, like for me, I learned a lot about that process and helping Tatum Bethune because he was the first player I ever trained at linebacker, right? Because his dad, he was coming off JV. His dad was the principal, and I worked with his uncle. His uncle actually coached Joey Bosa and Nick Bosa at PPO, right? So I learned a lot from that family. I'm super close with them still, even to this day. But I saw them miss out on Tatum twice. He went to UCF, had 108 tackles, hit the portal, and ended up at Florida State. And I'm just like, God, like, what are we doing? Like, how do we not get Tatum? Like, he's a Central kid. He wore number 1 at Central. You know what that means? He's the best player on the team. And sometimes it's God's plan. You know what I'm saying? It's the God's plan, and you never know what's really best for you until it all shakes out. In the end, just justifies the means. You know what I'm saying? Now he's actually he got an all-pro performance. He led the NFL in tackles for like 4 or 5 weeks. He's always been an undersized guy. He's always been overlooked. And that's the thing, like those 2-star and those 3-star guys, they stay with that chip on their shoulder for so long. Like I saw the defensive tackle from the Dolphins, he got traded to the Colts. He went to Alabama. I forget his name. His name is Raheem or something like that. The guy is huge. I'm like, how are you a 2-star? It's like, I don't know, something about getting scorned early. These guys, it just puts a fire inside of them, and you can see it come out when they play. So I know that was kind of long-winded, but I mean, for me, it was just about helping others. The more I helped others, the more I was able to self-realize and self-actualize on what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be for myself. And I think that was probably the biggest thing, just volunteering my time, helping others, donating my time. Like, we couldn't get NIL. Like, we
Yeah.
couldn't get nothing. So it's like, hey, if you can't get nothing for money, what do you have to do but do something for free? Like, you might as well use it to learn something about yourself and about the world. So that's kind of just how it always is.
And speaking of you like getting to give back and stuff like that, going through some stuff on your page, you have this program that you're doing with football tech and all that. Last week you had like 7-on-7 tryouts and stuff like that. Can you tell us about football tech in this program that you're obviously got your heart into?
Yeah, so I started out with just training and then trying to like advertise myself at training. So I was starting to put myself out there as far as like having camps and stuff like that. And the people that showed up, they always supported me, So it started with one team called the Boca Braves, and I grabbed probably like the whole team, started training the whole team with a couple of my guys, and God bless them. They got about 4 state champions on that team from West Boca, and about 6 kids off that team. DeAndre Desenor from North Carolina State, Brandon Hoke from FAU, kid named JT Klein. He's at Southern Miss. Like, they had a bunch of kids, and those kids, they were just so passionate. Like, even a kid like Brody Costolo, like 118 tackles for Boca Raton High School. Like, it was just started out like, I was like, hey, I can make a little bit of money. I was started charging to do group sessions with them, and then I was like, wait, I'm kind of a hybrid. So I was in between that space of being a position coach and with the strength and conditioning element, and putting that together and making my own brand. So when I first decided to do 7-on-7, so this would be my fourth time doing the 7-on-7 team. And the first time I got Chance Routson, who's actually committed to Navy at quarterback. And we had DeAndre on that team. We had Brandon on that team. We had a kid named James Finch, who's a heck of an athlete, but he plays lacrosse, and he was actually the lacrosse player of the year the last 2-3 years. And that kid played quarterback for me, safety, corner, wide receiver, and he's going to Ohio State on a full ride to play lacrosse. So I was just like, wow, like, I don't have to stop at football. I can help other kids in other sports develop. So I was doing the 7-on-7, and actually we have something huge this year. This is our first annual All-Star Series. So I teamed up with a guy named Generation Next. They used to have a TV show down here on the news where they covered youth sports, top youth sports, and then he's created his own platform for youth sports rankings and news for the youth kids. We got 160 athletes signed up. We got about 4 age groups, so 4 different games on January 18th. Tamarack Sports Complex. This will be our first annual. We got Fire versus Ice. So we got the jerseys, we got the trophies, and it's gonna be a hard launch for my gloves, my football tech gloves. This is my brand. It's silicone padding on the outside because I always used to destroy the back of my fingers and the back of my hands. So it's got the silicone spining on the outside with my logo right here. And this is actually one of my top selling pairs. All the kids they love the money. They love the $100 bill hand grips. So this is just it'll be a hard launch for it's a unique product that I created while I was playing arena football in Jacksonville when we won the National Arena League Championship out there in 2023. So it came together, and it's something that I saw down the line when I started a long time ago. But building a team of like-minded individuals, getting the right people involved, it obviously takes a certain amount of time. It's a money thing, right? You need money to do it. It's an investment, and you got to have people you trust. So now that we're hard launching, and I teamed up with Josh from Generation Next, the sky's the limit, and we're trying to go national with it. So we just got in our first store. We got to play it against sports in Gilbert, Arizona, and I got that through Team USA, through Mike Quarty and Kevin Moritas, God rest their soul. But one of my friends named Kyle Knight, he's out there in Arizona. He's always been a big believer, and I played in it's like a kind of a semi-pro. I used it as a tune-up for football when I went to Cancun. I played on Cancun's first professional football. I got paid to live in Cancun to play football, so like. I don't see how we can go wrong with this, but I met Kyle Knight, and I was like, this guy's like 54 years old, and he's still playing football. Like, this guy's nuts. So it's like, I love to meet all different types of people like that. You know, he's became my brother. He's become a real advocate for the product because he's one of the first people to try it. And I'm not afraid to start small. Like, this is something that was grassroots for me. And it's like, hey, if you got a good product and it's a good idea, don't wait. Like, don't wait to get this out. You don't have time to wait. Like, today could be your last day. So just do something big. Don't be afraid. You know, I want to encourage anyone out there that has a product or idea, you know, write it down, write a plan for yourself, and eventually God will bring the right people into your circle, and they'll believe in it just as much as you. And that's really all it takes. You know, it's not about money. A lot of times, obviously, we all like money. Money helps us do everything that we need to do, but the passion is where it's at, and it's the most important thing, you know.
Absolutely. I hear you there. I guess we'll start with Ben on follow-up.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you ever heard of Pro Impact Sports?
Is that like a agency?
No, Pro Impact Sports is exactly what you're doing now. It's a former teammate of mine named Gus Scott. They up there in Jacksonville. They do exactly what you do. The reason why I say you want to collab with people that's been doing it, they're gonna help you get past a lot of stuff you don't got to do. And Gus played with me. You sound like a younger version of him, David, because he's saying, look, the easiest way to get to where you're going is collaborations and partnerships. They're gonna make it so much easier because they're gonna. No, you don't gotta do that. And it's another dude by the name of Coach Daniels. He has something called it's called the Peach State Gridiron Classic. It's an all-star game in Georgia. My nephew got to go to Kennesaw State because of this. I'm gonna get you in contact with both of them, and y'all can just talk. And the reason why I'm saying is there ain't no competition when we collab. And collab mean I respect what you're doing. Partnerships mean, man, I want you to have 100% of what you're doing. So Pro Impact Sports, I'm gonna get you in contact with Gus and them. I'm gonna tell Coach Daniels about you because he already got a game, and in his game, he has, I want to say, 17 different states, including Canada. These are guys that got recruited but didn't get the love they wanted to. They all need to wear gloves. I think they'll look good in your gloves. But that'll be up to you if you want them to wear them. But you're gonna have kids from all over, and all you do is have them look in that camera and say, "Listen, man, these are the gloves." I'm just trying to give you some free game. That's all I'm saying. I ain't know, but I love what you're doing, but it's only 24 hours in a day, and you got to live too. You see what I'm saying? As much as we love it, we got to. So I'm gonna get you in contact with Gus. Y'all can just talk. Coach Daniels, my nephew got to go to Kennesaw State because of this game, and he was a 1,700-yard, 25 touchdown rusher, and he wasn't. So because of this game, he got to go. Now, and the one thing I would tell you too, David, don't sell what you're doing. If somebody come through and want to buy it, that's how much it's worth times two. So if somebody say, I'll give you $10 million for it, you should ask yourself, why would they give me this money for what I already built?
To go away.
And it's going to be unrecognizable when you go to it. You're going to be like, what is it? You're going to show up to something you built. Gloves going to look different. Signs going to look different. You're going to be like, wait. Don't let nobody buy you out. Now, if they want to spend some money, so I give you a piece. I'm the creative control. So if y'all want to be a part of it, do the what's the name, Miss Bus out there with the Lakers. She said, yeah, I'm gonna sell the Lakers for $10 billion, but I'm still keeping a minority share so I can still make the decisions. So you're gonna buy my team and I'm the one at the head of the table. That's how you negotiate. You're not gonna take what my daddy built. I'll sell it to you. So I'm gonna get you in contact with both of them just because I think when creators meet creators, man, magic happens. So I'm just listening to what you're saying you're doing with the 7-on-7. That's what Gus and them do. And just like you, he'll take the money, but he ain't about the money. He's like, look, man, I don't want to turn nobody away because they can't afford it. I'm trying to make sure these youngers get the best opportunity to play past high school, which is extremely rare, as you know. But I'm just listening to you. And like I said, just want to be a sponsor at this point in my life, be able to say, hey, let me point you in the right direction. You don't owe me nothing. So if I show up to the game, hey, Ben, man, I'm just doing my part, man. I don't want nothing from it. I know people that make moves. You a mover and a shaker, sir. You down there from South Florida. Y'all the movers and shakers. I know about y'all South Florida, Dade County, Broward County. I know about y'all down there. So
Man, you
I'm
gotta
just
hustle,
impressed with
man.
what
If
you're
you
doing.
want to live down here, it's expensive, man. And I am a Jamaican, so I do have 6 jobs. I got 3 kids. My wife, she would love it if I would stop coaching high school football, but I told her it's not happening until I put my kids in college. But it's all about equity, right? You learn about equity and joint ventureship. So Shaquille O'Neal, he talked about joint ventures and just equity. Like you want someone to, if someone really respects what you're doing, they're not gonna just try to take it from you and crash it in the ground, right? You're gonna want to stay on as a board member, and continue to make contributions to build what you started because the end is never really the end, right? It's just a new beginning. So it sounds cliche, but it's so true. And you have your 10, 15-year, 20-year plan down the line, and you start thinking about, all right, how big can I take this? But I'm only one person, and I got to be a dad, I got to be a son, I got to be a brother, uncle, all those other things, like you said. So it's all about growing the network. That's why I took this opportunity, to come on with you guys, because I'm like, hey, someone's taking an interest in me. Like, it's not every day that somebody asks me, hey, David, what do you got going on? Most of the time I'm just running like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to get everything done by myself. And I actually I just got on my North Miami Beach Police Department, as a cadet. So I'm going into police academy, so I can start my law enforcement career. And I'm just like, hey, you want to do all these things. You're only one person. So it's like you just got to decide, hey, how you want to move, and who's going to help you get to your goals. So that's such a big thing.
Marvin.
Yeah, I definitely commend you, Dave, just for what you're doing as an entrepreneur. And I really, I echo what Ben was saying. Strategic alliances are how you're going to get from where you're at to where you want to go much faster. And I say that to you as an entrepreneur who's dealt with the highs and the lows of that. With that said, coming out of Wisconsin and coming out of did you know that after football you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Have you been business minded from the get? Is that something that you caught on too late? How did you transition into that? And I ask you that, just considering how athletes forever got a bad rep, for not having a backup plan or not having a different plan. Obviously, you know what you want to do and all the things you're doing around it, Police Academy and your other hustles, that just supports your real dream, which is to be training kids. And I think that's amazing. But did you always have that entrepreneurial touch? Was that always on your mind and on your heart?
I mean, I think my biggest thing, like I wanted to get paid to play football, and then once I made it pro, I realized very quickly that giving you all their money is not exactly people's priority, right? So we got to find ways to get. And then I learned about 6 different sources of income. The average millionaire has 6 different sources of income, and you want to do things that have synergy, right? So if I'm training kids and I'm getting them gloves, and then the whole NIL thing is like, right, that's something brand new, because before you couldn't even take a ham sandwich or they're running you down to kick you out, just staying with the times. But I did always have an entrepreneur spirit, because nobody ever wanted to pay you a bunch of money just to do one thing. Like I was a bodyguard, been a security guard, been a trainer, and then finally I learned about having a product, right? And that's when the light bulb finally clicked, when I'm like, hey, let me create something that's not already out there, right? I don't want to copycat anything. Let me create something that's unique. Let me create something that's new. And I learned that, hey, like the future belongs to the people that create. Like if you can create something that people want, that is going to be, those are the Elon Musk of the world, right? Those are the people that really make a difference and really command the market, right? Because you're creating new things, you're creating new opportunities, you're creating new levels in the market. And that's where you give people the opportunities, the people that have earned it. And I learned from being a general manager at Orange Theory. I learned once I saw how much money I made, and the owner of the franchise that I work for had like 10 franchises. And I'm like, I turned that club around. It was the worst club in the state, and it was the worst club in this ownership. And, I'm all about customer service. Like, how you treat people. People will literally find a way to help you if you treat them good. Like I said, it's important to be nice, but, it's nice to be important, but it's much more important to be nice. So when I brought that element and, grew that club one member at a time, treating people with respect, treating people with courtesy, giving the people what they're due, not giving people just things just to give to them, but when it's theirs, you give it to them. You can't lose when you do things like that, because you can't never lose when you do that, because people will make sure that you win, and they become your people, So for me, it was once I saw the numbers on the back end, and I'm like, I'm fighting for my life for a $500 bonus. But this club just made $85,000 this month off, me sending emails, going outside, taking my staff, hiring this person, hiring that person, taking the staff out. Because Orange Theory is unique, right? It creates probably more entrepreneurs than any other job, because you have to be sales and operations. There's no, it's just you and your assistant manager, because it's a boutique gym, and you guys are managing somewhere between 800 to 1,200 members, so you guys have to be personable, and you also have to get the job done on the numbers side. So for me, it was like, hey, if I can do this for them, if I can do a fraction of this for myself, like I'll be okay. So, that's where I got the confidence to step out on my own at 26 years old, being the youngest general manager, probably in the entire company, being a minority, and that's a Fortune 500 company that's probably mostly white women, so it's like, hey, how can you get comfortable in this space where people really don't want you? You know what I mean? You got to be good. You can't just be there and just coast by. You got to be active. And I think it's just like anything else, right? It's about hard work. And somehow, some way, the people that aren't scared to work super hard every day, they somehow find a way to get ahead of everybody else. Like I was putting in 60-hour work weeks, you know what I mean, working on the weekends, making sure that my club was and then we ended with the Kings that we used to get belts, like WWE wrestler belts. So when I left, I got the belt for sales and I had the belt for utilization. So I mean, that's where I got the confidence to step out on my own and say, if you build it, they'll come. Don't be scared to start small, because you always start with one client, no matter what you're doing. And if you treat people good, they'll bring their family to you. They'll bring their friends to you. They'll bring those that they trust to you because they know you're going to do a good job. And if I apply that to gloves or training or bodyguarding, doing security, protecting somebody or protecting the community, good people find a way to find you. So that's just kind of just my story. And, that's just only a fraction of the places that I've been. I've been to Salt Lake City. I've been to New York. I played football in Cancun. I've been to Montreal. I've been to Canada. I've been to Nashville, playing for the Titans. And, you learn to enjoy yourself, also really put in that work.
We got a question.
I got to ask this though. Because just listening to you, I'm gonna pose a question to you that was posed to me. Because the thing about being former athletes, man, we the biggest dreamers out there. You cannot dream bigger than an athlete. We think we can do anything, and I love that about us. But somebody asked me, they said, "All right, Ben, right now you doing what you got to do because you got to survive. What do you ultimately want to do? Like if somebody said, all right, Dave, you ain't got no restrictions. What would David want to do? Like from here, what you in your early 30s, when we see you 20 years from now, what would you want to be doing ultimately?"
I want to I want to open my own gym, for athletes, and I want to be like an athlete's paradise. Like you can go there, you can wake up in the middle of the night, you can't sleep, go hit the sled, you can go shoot your shots, in the middle of the night. You got complete access. I think that's the athlete's dream, is to be in a position where you can help other athletes and give them something unique. They have chefs there, have food. I always envision myself like somewhere on the beach, open a facility in a place like a paradise like Jamaica, so athletes can do their thing and prepare themselves, right? Get the most qualified individuals, and get them in one place so that they got the resources to get better, get better as athletes, get better at, and rehab themselves, get better in a mental state. And that would be my dream, is to just be able to go around and go to all my athletes that I train, all the kids that I have that are pros, and be able to watch them play and be able to watch them flourish and help them move on to that next step in what they want to do in life. Like I've coached kids now so long that they graduated, they grown, they got their own kids now. And it obviously doesn't take that long, from high school. In about 6 or 7 years, you'll be a grown adult on your own, doing your own thing. But I think that providing others with opportunities, you can't go wrong. Like for me, being able to just travel and finally being able to say to my wife, like, hey, we don't have to do this. I can take you to do that. Because she gets mad at me.
Well, the next question is, what would you call it? What would be the name?
We actually got a couple questions from the chat. I want to get before we get into that one. So
Okay.
Anthony wanted to say, David, the gym you're planning to open up, are you thinking of opening up? Is it just going to be basketball and football, or are you going to try to have batting cages, soccer fields? Like, what when you have this plan for this gym, is it more than just 4 sports? Like what is the I guess the goal for it?
No, actually, I was able to train lacrosse, baseball, basketball, football, track and field. I would love to produce opportunities for guys in track and field to compete and make money. Like I have a plan, and I'm working on it with through NIL, um, and through just my team. And I think that in the end, we'll be able to provide opportunities for all athletes, even esports athletes. Guys that played the video games like streaming. There's a big market for that. My brother was an excellent football player, but he works for Microsoft. He didn't end up playing football. He went to FIU, and he's an esports guy. He gets on Call of Duty, and he was ranked in the world in Call of Duty. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just about creativity. It's like, hey, what do you want to do? And how can we help you get there? So I would definitely take that into consideration, like helping someone from every sport, from every different walk of life.
He actually had one. He had one more question. I think it was a 2-parter here. Honest question for all of us. Why does it seem in general when it comes to executive management positions, a lot of the non-minorities have to work twice as hard to get to the same positions to a non-minority fighting for that same position, because it feels until recently you don't really see a whole lot of minority in general managers, sports, or owners.
Well, for me, the person that gave me my first opportunity with the Tennessee Titans, his name was Lake Seastrunk.
Did it go out?
That Wi-Fi, boy.
Yeah.
The technology loves us. I'm telling you. We'll give him a second to get back in here, because technology.
I mean, even with that question that was just asked, I mean, I guess the easy way to answer that is it ain't marketed to us. Like we market it through the players, not the decision makers. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you, if Marvin Powell Sr. told Marvin Powell Jr., I want you to be a GM, he will be a GM right now. Because it has to come from the person that's influenced us the most. But I believe that's shifting, though. I believe that's shifting because most players want to go from player to coach. Now it's player to executive. Hey, dude, I want to make the decisions. I want to be the president, the GM, player personnel, because that's when I'm in the meetings and see how decisions are really made. How are they making these decisions?
Sorry, I got a spam call.
So I do think that's changing.
I figured it's something to do with technology, brother. This ain't our first rodeo.
And I had to plug my phone in, too.
That's just the way it goes, my friend. It's all right.
Yeah, my bad, guys. I know.
You good? Listen, you good. No worries. Now we rooting for you over here, man. It's one of those. When you get more partnerships and collaborations, David, it's gonna make life so much easier because, like you said, it's like the 10% rule. If I gave you 10% of something, you gave me, and we talking about effort, it's different depending on who it's coming from. But if you can't take what you got and put it down and it still works, it don't work. Because you can't be there all the time. You got to be able to put it down and trust, hey man, that a business has to solve a problem. That's all a business is. It solves a problem. But if I can't put my business down and it still works, it don't work. That's where the partnerships come in. Meaning, you see, we're a 3-man weave on here. Sometimes we grown men, like you said, with wives and kids and situations. So sometimes we can't be on the show. Show still's gonna go on. And man, I can't be on today. And man, I see y'all next week. That's a business when you can put it down. So the quicker you get 2 right-hand men to make sure that y'all see the same thing and want the same thing and don't care about who get the biggest check, boy, you can do it.
Yeah.
No, and if you man, so that's it.
The sponsors that I have, the people in my life, like I've been going to a place called True Tread Tires, forever and Davey to get my tires done. They sponsored the All-Star game, and I trained a kid. I used to train this when I started training, nobody was coming to my sessions, and this lady, she used to bring her daughters, 2 daughters. She had 2 daughters that play football in the sun. So I started training them, and she's actually she's a VP for Bank of America. Her name's Julie. She's so awesome. she got me a sponsorship from her ortho, who actually rode at named Dr. Stephanie Kane. So shout out to Signature Orthopedic, down there in West Palm Beach. And when people believe in you and, they see that you're a genuine person, they'll write you a check. You know what I mean? Because they know, hey, this guy's been figuring it out, bouncing out clubs at night, trying to, and spending money on something. He don't got it. Like, I don't. He's like, he don't got to do this. So I know that he's gonna do right with the resources that I give him. And he deserves that support. He deserves to have nice things, like you said. So it's all about those grassroots connections that you can make with people.
Go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, a couple of things, Dave. So listen, just because of the fact that you're a former NFL player and you've created a phenomenal opportunity for younger athletes, listen, you could look at interns who will work for you with no pay just because of your credibility, and they want to jump on. You got these college kids at FIU, kids at kids at FAU that just want to be a part of something big, man. So there's a huge opportunity there. Let me ask you, are you active at all with the NFLPA down in South Florida? Because I know they have a huge chapter and they're extremely active.
No, I'm not, because I was in the NFL for all about 6 months,
Okay.
and I never got to get film in the in-game film.
Okay.
I made it through camp.
Right, that's
That's
irrelevant.
not easy. God
No.
bless it, but
if you signed an NFL contract, then you are now eligible to be a member of the NFLPA. I highly recommend, because I was a member of that chapter, I highly recommend that you follow them on any social media platform, because they're very active, and go to meetings. It will help your business without question, man. Because I think just listening to you and seeing your stuff online, you have something that's very real that's going on. You know what I'm saying? And I think that you have resources and people that are connected to that shield that you don't realize. And I think just already, I'm inspired by what you're saying and what you're doing. But I think there are bigger opportunities out there for you that you don't know about. And I think for you, it definitely starts with the NFLPA in South Florida. When you go to your first meeting, you'll know what I'm talking about, because they're going to have you stand up and tell the other players who you are and what you do. And from there, you're going to build automatic relationships. Trust me.
Definitely going to do that. I'll definitely do that.
And tell them
your number. I'm going to give you both.
I'm gonna text you from a 347 area code. I'm gonna get you in contact with Coach Daniels as well as Pro Impact. But when you speak, David, don't do what we normally do. We'll speak. Don't tell them, no, I need you guys' help. Like, look at them in their face. Like the one thing we didn't know how to do when we was young, and when you first got the league, my name is David Gilbert, and I'm happy to be here. No. I'm here because I need you guys' help. You guys understand stuff that I don't know, just from being older, because players, when, we could be direct with each other. Hey, you think I came here because I want some of the food? It's cool. I got food at home. I need you guys' help, because when you do that, somebody gonna pull you to the side like, all right, man, what you trying to do? Because former players need to help former players. The only way we kill that ego and pride, man, we got to, hey, man, tell me what you need. Doesn't mean I can help you, but I might know somebody who do. And I'm gonna put you in contact, because we got to get past this cool stuff. Man, look, I'm here because I need help. And this is supposed to be what we come for help, right? I ain't here for therapy. I'm here for support. So tell them that. And tell them, until y'all help me, I'm going to harass y'all like you owe me child support. I'm going to be up in y'all grills, because now I got your email. What they going to do, get mad? They can get mad.
I just wanted to hear what Steven was going to say.
Listen, basically, when we get off of here, Dave, shoot me your number. I'm going to give you both Ben and Marvin's number to make sure we can, whatever we can do here, for between, these two gentlemen, our network, we're going to do whatever we can to help you get the information out there, get you in front of the right people, because it's all about building relationships, like Ben was sitting there saying. And I'm the same way when it comes to this platform, comes to this show. I want to talk to everyone. I want to hear everyone's story. After hearing yours, David, we gonna do whatever we can to help you. But I do want to switch gears real fast, kind of try to go through a couple of the recent football topics. Obviously, I got to start off with your alumni there, the Miami Hurricanes being part of the biggest ranked college football upset in playoff history. Were you surprised to see Miami basically now in the Final Four for the college football playoffs?
Listen, first of all, shout out to Carson Beck. We got the same number. We got the same number, number 11. And they always got a number 11 on offense and defense. So shout out to those guys. The other number 11 is a defensive lineman too. So, but was I surprised? Yes, because every time we start doing good, somebody says the U is back, and god dang, they mess it up. They mess us up. So I mean, I think it's all about. And I love Coach Cristobal. You know, he's I know him very well. He recruited me when he was at FIU, offered me a scholarship out of high school. And he's as Miami as it gets. He's a UM guy. I actually played for Art Kehoe, who was Coach Cristobal's O-line coach when he was at UM. He was there at UM when I was there. Coach Kehoe, shout out to him, Mr. Feet on Fire himself. And I think it comes down to being humble, man. Like, you got to be humble. Like my coach, Coach Herbs, he used to say there's two type of athletes, those that are humble and those that are about to be. You know what I'm saying? So you got to stay humble because that keeps everything in perspective and it keeps the humility. If you have humility about yourself, you're not going to go out there and think you're going to win because just you're you. You're going to put in the work. You're going to sit there. You're going to watch the film multiple times. You know, you're going to dissect the enemy and you're going to have a plan. The Sun Tzu said, you know the enemy, you know yourself. You don't got to worry about the result of 1,000 battles. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's all about that attitude of walk softly and carry a big stick. You know what I'm saying? If you meet Coach Cristobal, he'll yell, but he's not a big yeller. He's actually he has a deep, powerful voice. It's not a soft voice, but it's deep and it's powerful. And I think that you know, we've learned the learning lessons through the past 2 seasons, and we realize nobody's scared of us. You know what I'm saying? The bigger you are, the bigger target you have on your back. So that means you got to be more prepared, and you got to go out there and you got to finish the game. Like you got to make people quit. You know, and the game's not over till the clock hits 000. And I think attitude is the biggest difference. For me, like my last season playing football, we were 12-3, and you know, it feels good to win, but that feeling of losing games, it never feels good. There's no moral victories. You don't care if you got your backup quarterback out there. It don't matter if you rested all your starters. You still want to take that tenacity and go out there and you want to win and you want to make a statement that even though we didn't have our full complete team, we still want to win. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if you got one leg, they're on the inch-yard line. You want to bend but don't break. You know, and I think that with coaches like I went to Coach Jason Taylor. I coached under him a little bit when he was at St. Thomas during COVID. I didn't stay for the season, but I was able to go to his coaching clinic with him and Damian Lewis in this past preseason. And just to be able to see a guy like Bain, Mesidor, and know that they're learning from Jason Taylor and the interior guys, they're learning from greats like Damian Lewis. It makes that confidence to know like the game is won in the trenches. You can't throw to that 6'4" receiver if your quarterback can't get him the ball. You know, so it's all about fundamentals. Like I said, football is a simple game. It's a kid's game. You know, you just take bigger, powerful people and you put them out there. So, and it's not a super complicated thing. You trust your eyes. You trust what you see. Your eyes don't lie to you. You know what I mean? And you go out there and you just gotta grind face. Sometimes you just gotta grind face. You grind face, and if you, the people, they say the people that aren't afraid to die are the ones that win most of the time. The people that'll go out there and die for something, they're the ones that go out there and they win because they're putting it all on the line every play and they're willing to do the dirty work that people don't want to do. They're willing to go through the fundamentals and because they know football is a young man's game. You know, you didn't know 35. Look what happened to Bobby Wagner. He might retire after this year. You out there getting body slammed. You 35, he's 25. You know what I'm saying? So it's a young man's game, and you got to cherish your time because you never know when it's going to be your last play. And when you walk away from the game, you are going to miss it. You feel me? You're going to want to play one more snap. You're going to want to play one more down. So it's important to know that you did everything that you could in your power. You didn't waste any time. You didn't leave any opportunities on the table, and then that's the only way you'll be able to walk away and be satisfied with your career. That's what I learned from myself.
I got three more for you. I'm gonna try to quickly run through this. Your predictions for both of the remaining playoff games. The Peach Bowl. Do you think Indiana's gonna beat Oregon, or is those Oregon Ducks gonna upset the Indiana there?
Well, the coach that I had at Wisconsin when Monte Ball scored 82 touchdowns, that's the same offensive line coach. His name is Bob Bostad, is the Indiana's offensive line coach. And if you know what I know about that man do not play. Okay, so I think it's gonna be Miami versus Indiana in the final, just because it's going to be Jason Taylor and Damian Lewis versus Coach Bob Bostad and Coach Signetti, man. Like, those guys grind face. You know what I'm saying? They're not afraid to put their own face in a meat grinder just to get a play done. Coach Bostad, he always used to scream, "Sacrifice your body." You know what I'm saying? Sacrifice your body. That's not somebody that you want to mess with at the end of the day. So that's my prediction, man.
I'm definitely with you there. That's what I've been saying the last few days. I think it's going to be Miami and Indiana. Obviously, the Fiesta Bowl's tonight. So the Cinderella story of Ole Miss ends tonight, right, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see a Division II quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss. He's a great athlete, but you're not getting away from Bain and Mesidor and those guys. Like, they got Jason Taylor leading them, one of the all-time greats, Hall of Famer, NFL, and also Damian Lewis, Hall of Famer, interior guy, Hall of Fame guy. So I think that you fall back on your coaching, man. That's one thing we always learn. You always fall back on your coaching. So the coaches reflect the players. I mean, the players reflect the coaches, right? We got to say, if your coach is a B, your players is going to be a B. So I don't really see those guys as Bs. So I think they'll get the job done. I don't think that quarterback will have anywhere to go, and he'll make a lot of mistakes tonight because of the pressure those guys are going to put on him. And that's where the game is won, is in the trenches. So we're going to just dominate up front. I think Bain is a first-day pick guy. I see him on par with Reggie White and Aaron Donald. I think he's the third coming of those guys because he's so powerful and fast. He could play 3 technique and 5 technique. Shout out to Eric Hicks, my coach. He extended my career teaching me how to play the 3 technique. That's the shortest point to the quarterback. So, I mean, it all comes down to the quarterback. If you got to disrupt him, he can't do much.
I agree. And since we're talking about sacking the quarterback, I came across this on your social media. Me and Marvin were talking about this during the season, that if Myles Garrett broke the sack record on the final week of the season, that there's an asterisk put to it. But you posted this one up there, and I didn't believe it when I seen it. Was the snap counts, right, for each of the times that the record had been broken. I didn't realize that despite playing multiple more games than Michael Strahan, that Myles Garrett had under almost under 120 snaps less than him.
Yeah, now, I mean, that matters a lot because to me, it's all about efficiency, right? The more chances you have to get to pass rush, obviously, the more sacks you can get. And shout out to my kid at FAU, Brandon Hoke, his junior year before he went to St. Thomas. The kid he had 21 catches, 10 touchdowns. So that means damn near every other catch was a touchdown for this kid. And it's all about efficiency, man. Like, even right now, he was a true freshman at FAU. He averaged 14.8 yards per catch with 12 catches. That's a kid you want to get the ball to because he's not gonna count a saying that I got a lot of sayings because I'm getting up there, but you don't count your plays, you make your plays count. That's one thing that my coach taught me. He's like, hey, if you could go 5 for 5 on third downs, you're going to be in position. Even if people don't see you, every time they do see you, you're doing something big. So it's about efficiency. He averaged 15 yards a catch at St. Thomas his senior year. He had 42 catches. He didn't have the most touchdowns, but he always took away the number one corner because if you didn't guard him, he was going to bomb you. So that opens up the offense for everybody else. It makes you make your team better by being the most efficient player you could be. You don't want to go out there and make a bunch of mistakes, and that will take your team far. The more people you have on your team like that, the better your team will be.
Now, one last one before I flip it back over to Marvin and Ben before we get ready to wrap this up. You dropped a lot of names here this afternoon. So I want to ask you this one. Who is your Mount Rushmore of players that you've played with? If you had to pick 4 guys that saying like these are, these are your legends. They don't even have to be, big stars, and like who meant the most to you. So who's your Mount Rushmores of guys you've suited up with, against, whatever?
Number one got to be Chris Borland, man. Like I ain't never seen a guy 5'10", 240. Like he blocked a punt. He jumped up, like because of me and him, they changed the rule in college. You can't jump over the shield to block a punt anymore. It's a penalty. He actually jumped over the shield versus Wofford and blocked a punt my freshman year. We were both freshmen, and I recovered a touchdown in the end zone. And then I jumped over the pile on my birthday, turned 18 years old, and blocked a punt after the punter kicked it in the air, slapped it back down to the ground. Chris Borland, and he's the one. I'm like, shit, he can do it. I can do it too. He about 5'10". I'm like, I can do that. But Chris Borland, for sure. James White, sweet feet, man. He came in as a true freshman, and he just was like lightning in a bottle. Like that kid, he could do it all. And he wasn't like the biggest. He definitely wasn't the biggest, but he was super quick, and he just could make you miss. He wasn't even the fastest. Like he was fast, but he wasn't even the fastest player we had. But he was special, and it goes to show that just if you can do the intangibles, you could work, you could be special, you can make something special about yourself. So I would say Chris Borland, James White, and then if I switch it over to University of Miami, guys that I played with, I would say my roommate Justin Renfro, because he played D line and O line in the NFL, which is super hard to do. Like his first sack was Teddy Bridgewater, and then he switched over to O-line and played in the Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks on offensive line. That's got to be like, I don't even think that many people could even possibly do anything like that, if you ask me. So I think that guy, and he had a higher vert than me on pro day. I was like, how do you do it? You're like 320 pounds. So he was a hell of an athlete, and he actually won the Grey Cup in Canada at offensive line, played in like 2 or 3 Grey Cups and won one. So he's just a dominant football player. Like when you talk about lesser known guys, our guys in the trenches rarely get any love. And for my last spot, I would say John Clay, man. Back to Wisconsin for John Clay. That guy was, when he won the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year before he started, got some injuries, he was one of the most powerful people I ever seen in my life run the football. And you did not want to get in front of that guy. He was big. He was fast. They say he like snatched a bike off a chain and started riding it one time in downtown Madison. The guy was just strong as an ox. And, I want to shout out those guys because they're lesser known guys, obviously besides James White with his 4 Super Bowls with the Patriots. But, sometimes we forget. You always want to talk about the J.J. Watts and the Russell Wilsons. When you get to Miami, you want to talk about the Duke Johnsons. But it's really those guys that make the team go. Like I scored my 72-yard touchdown on senior day in Miami because of Justin. He jumped onto that Virginia quarterback. Well, he transferred from Virginia too, so he had a bone to pick with them. He jumped on that quarterback and absolutely crushed him and gave me that opportunity on my senior day to run back that touchdown. So those are 4 guys. They might be a little bit lesser known. Obviously, Chris Borland, 3rd in Big Ten history in tackles at 5'10". but he only played 1 year in the NFL before he retired. But those are guys to me that were like major difference makers, game changers, great people, great fathers, great husbands, and I wish them the best of luck, like in this world.
All right, Marvin, your final thoughts, questions is.
Yeah, Dave, straight to the point, man. I don't know what you consider the standard to be at but at this point, is the U back?
2 more games we will be.
Fair enough. That's what I want to hear.
Got to
That's what I
take care
want
of
to hear.
business first.
Yeah. All right, listen, some of these schools, UCLA and them, they get to the Final Four if that ever even happened.
He's an SC guy. So he gonna throw that shade at the UCLA guys. My final question is: Can you get in contact with Michael Irvin? Give him a pair of your gloves and your belt, because he's gonna be pulling it out. He's gonna be smacking something. You know what I'm saying?
Michael Irvin is a big fan of Brandon Hoke, right? And because they went to St. Thomas Aquinas, right? And he actually gave Brandon Hoke his seal of approval, and he gave him his blessing. And not only from Michael Irvin, but Chris Carter, who is at FAU now.
On the staff, yep.
They love Brandon, and they sealed off. And be on the lookout for number 0 from FAU. I've been training that kid since he was 11 years old, and that kid loves football, and he's a beast downfield and blocking. He always tries to block someone. He throws people on the ground. He's a big weight room guy. He's about 6'4", 200 pounds, runs about a 4.5, a low 4.5. And he loves to block downfield. So anytime Chance Washington or anytime these St. Thomas running backs broke, they would always look for Brandon, because they knew he would be trying to get somebody on the ground downfield, because he wasn't getting the ball as much. But that's a guy that is close to my heart. I'm close to his family. That's like a nephew to me. And I think he's going to be next up. I think he's going to be one of the greatest to do it because of who he is as a person. And that's the most important thing. When you look at football, always the great people, for some reason, it's something special about them, and to get signed off on early in your career, not only by one Hall of Famer, but 2 Hall of Famers, there's got to be something special coming down the pipe. So you always want to look down the line, kind of like as a parent, right? You look at your kids and you see some of those same things, some of those same greatness capabilities that you have in yourself. I see those in him, and I think if he could get some recognition, he could get some more passes this year, he'll do something special. He honestly averaged more catches, more yards per catch than Jeremiah Smith this year on only 12, 13 catches. So I want to see how far he could go. I just want to root for the kids that I train. That's my big thing. I want to be there to support them. I want them to know. I want to endorse them. I want people to know, like, hey, this is the guy. I'm not afraid to stand on the table and say this is the guy, because it's not too many wide receivers out here bench pressing 285 pounds. I told him my goal is to get him to 315 pounds by the end of spring. So just doing special things, man. That work ethic, and that work in the weight room, it never lies.
Now, as we get ready to wrap this up, David, what I typically always do is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over to you. Anyone you would like to thank, shoot out your social media sites, shoot out websites, and anything you'd like to leave a lasting impression on the viewers with. The time is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I want to say to all the people that supported me, thank you so much. And I wanted to shout out my All-Star game, January 18th at Tamarack Sports Complex, the Football Tech All-Star Series. We want to get as many eyes on that as possible. We're going to have Generation Next, Queen of Sports, Backyard Athletics, and Cameraman Said. So be on the lookout for all of those outlets, because now we've transitioned from legacy media to streaming media, right, to new media. So be on the lookout for those young athletes. We got over 160 youth athletes signed up for this game. And obviously some of them are going to be the future GOATs. So shout out to those kids. I mean, we're doing a major brand launch and we're just trying to get out there and get on a international platform, actually, because I got some players overseas in Germany and Mexico and other countries wearing my gloves. So I want to try to get the brand out as much as I can.
We're gonna do anything we can on our end. You know, David, it was a pleasure talking with you this afternoon. We definitely got to have you back on here again. You know, sometime in the future, we'll work out something to get you on, collaborate with you on something else. But other than that, you know, it was a pleasure talking to you. And you know, appreciate your time this afternoon. We're gonna that puts an end to today's episode. So you know, big thank you to everyone who tuned in on the chat room. You know, had questions for you know, me, my co-host David, and all that. And we will see you guys next week. Peace out, my friends.
Thank you.